Hi all, welcome to the 89th edition of FAYA Port 80. Very excited to introduce virtual production using Unreal Engine, which is going to be the future of filmmaking. We have the company Tilt Labs. Tilt Labs is actually a company which always strive to work on most trending or upcoming technologies. Like he was Nikhil Chandran. Nikhil Chandran is the CEO of, and founder of Tilt Lab. He was stepping into game engine development and gamification long before, and at that time, everyone was just starting to hear about that. And as of now, he has started working on virtual production, and I came to know like he was working with uh, Burrows, the movie that the superstar Mohanlal is directing, and he's handling the virtual production of that. So we just thought like we have to introduce it to our community because Fireportity is something that always excited to bring in new technologies and introduce it to our community so that they can know like what is in that, and those who are interested to join the community, they can form a team for Unreal Engine and form a community and take it forward from there. So let's welcome Nikhil.
Thanks, Devu, for the kind introduction, and myself, Nikhil, founder and CEO of Tilt Labs. I have Joel with me. We are together going to present virtual production, the technology that's going to disrupt the film industry, and also the CG production. And I welcome Joel to start presenting about how we handle and how we achieve the pipeline and how we implementing in our customer and with upcoming projects. So welcome, Joel, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Nikhil. Thank you, Deepu, for hosting us. So I'm Joel. I'm the creative director here at Tilt Labs, and I'm going to walk you through how we use virtual production and real-time technologies to help content creators adapt this disruptive workflow and release their works quicker and more cost-effectively. So to give you a brief introduction, Tilt Labs, we've always been working in XR, and XR has been at the heart of all the work we've done in our business as well. So virtual production is not that different from XR. It is just we are utilizing all the skill sets that we've put across for the past 6 years, helping enterprise customers. But now we are taking it a step forward by helping digital content creators. So let me begin the presentation. I'm going to talk about what virtual production is. I'm going to talk about what the problems we faced while working with traditional pipelines and how we were able to mitigate it using real-time solutions. So when we talk about virtual production, it is essentially a streamline method that aggregates and combines the entire film or CG production pipeline into one single suite. So what we have to understand here is that it is a process that is structured around the core principle that all decision makers and creative stakeholders are centered around every stage in the development of the film. So essentially what happens here is that virtual production, it involves the process of using real-time technologies so that tool sets are created and utilized in such a way that feedback is instant, thereby making digital content production way quicker and way efficient.
Joel, I would like to request Debu to make sure the sharing is on. The slide share, please.
Perfect.
Thank you, Debu.
Yeah. So what we have to highlight here is that the main value proposition that virtual production delivers these days is the notion. It's not just the notion, it is the principle of real time. And what this means is that whatever you do inside the software suite, you have a feedback that is received instantly. And when you talk about it in terms of film production, that is a highly advantageous thing. So when we talk about its impact, virtual production's impact, we have to understand that digital content creation will always be an ever-evolving stream. And when you observe traditional pipelines, you can see that it lacks the tools to cohesively bring together the process of production. Traditional pipelines, it's a very linear structure that doesn't encourage iteration once the production is in process. So what happens here is that a lot of decisions have to be made in this process without actually verifying the output. Now, when you talk about it with a real world example, just imagine being filmed against a green screen and you have no idea what the output is going to look like. So when you follow a traditional pipeline, these elements cannot be constantly changed or upgraded. This makes the creative endeavor extremely rigid and labor intensive. All these factors essentially combines to affect the cost effectiveness, and it drastically increases the risk on project. The traditional pipeline, like the one you see in the picture, essentially prevents us to be more precise later on in the stages of production, as even minute changes can be expensive. Now, on the other hand, virtual production is a very filmmaker-driven workflow that removes uncertainty early on from the process. Now, this uncertainty can be like a $5 million mistake when it comes to production. So what it does early on from the production process is that it encourages collaboration so that creative inputs and decisions can be finalized a lot quicker by adopting certain pipeline structures. So we have been working with content creators for a long time using traditional pipelines, and it initially involved a lot of tiresome work. So let me explain the problems we faced initially and how we were able to adopt real-time solutions to mitigate it. So when you approach traditional pipelines, the first problem everyone points out is render times. See, offline renderers, which are not real-time, it carries a lot of overhead when it comes to rendering. A small change means that a scene may have to be re-rendered again, and this can cause production time to increase by even 30%. So what this makes an artist is both frustrating because you have to wait for a long time to see how your output turns out, and this can be very tiresome and counterproductive. The next point is synchronization. Now, film production, it doesn't happen in a single place. It happens across the globe with teams with various skill sets. And most of these times, these divisions, it will be located all around the world. So what you essentially have is that you have various artists working across various softwares, and combining them into a single creative output can be very technically challenging. So we shouldn't just think about the output here. We have to think about how the files are structured. We have to think about the formats of the file that they're using. We have to think about how they're aggregating it as hierarchies. And there is a lot. So the lack of a cohesive system to track these changes and update corrections as they are made, it really hinders the time involved with decision making. So the next point here is collaboration, and the lack of systems in place to collaborate simultaneously and view feedback instantly on scene, it really affects the creative process. So, and what I need to stress here is that we faced a lot of issues not being able to get key decision makers play an active part in our process, and this drastically increased the time to receive feedback. The problem here is that two people at two different locations couldn't work together on a single scene. They had to save their file, they had to copy it, they had to email it, whatever the process was, and this actually ate up a lot of time. The next point is that there was a lack of a cohesive system to transfer large amounts of data and make sure respective parties were informed. So essentially, data transfer and communication, we are not just talking about how data needs to be stored, but we need to make sure that the raw data that you collect actually corresponds to the respective file, so that our artists don't have to spend time manually sorting them. So if we were to summarize our key problems with traditional pipelines, it would be the following. The first and foremost is that it lacks flexibility, at most flexibility during the production, which in turn restricts iteration. Creative freedom is very much compromised when feedback to the changes we make takes up a lot of time. When you actually have to change a camera view or add a particular VFX element into a traditional pipeline shot, if the feedback you get is not relatively instant, it hinders the process a lot. The next one is the lack of collaborative features and data transfer systems makes file aggregation and decisive changes very time consuming. And finally, a lot of manual work was involved even for the smallest change. So the solution to this that we came up was to adopt a complete virtual production pipeline. And our virtual production pipeline was specifically tailor-made to mitigate all the problems we faced before. Now, since different teams have different work styles and a lot of time members are spread across the globe, it's crucial to have a system in place that makes sure files are transferred instantly, changes are reflected promptly, and the output verification process is transparent. Like I mentioned in my first slide, the entire principle of virtual production is bringing people of various disciplines together into a production pipeline that encourages efficiency, quick turnarounds, and promotes collaboration at all levels. So we achieve this via the following solution. The first is real-time synchronization, instant notification systems, real-time animation, real-time rendering, multi-user collaboration, and efficient data transfer systems. So our first step when we practically take a work from a client is to aggregate all the files we receive. So in our case, when we were working with digital content creators, these would mostly be references, these would be concepts, and they would be as JPEGs, PNGs, video files, it would be a raw video shoot, whatever it is. And we give the client access to a private server, which is encrypted, that we host. So this workspace, this server space is accessible to the client via any device. And if they need to send us a file, all they have to do is just upload it there. Now, the reason why we do it this way is because this server is customly integrated with our pipeline management tool. So here, our automated scripts come into the process. They check the files and they check the naming conventions used in the files. And what happens here is that these files are transferred into their respective department. So what I'm saying is that if there is, for example, a concept art of a character which needs to be 3D modeled, it would go to the art team. It wouldn't go anywhere else. And all these departments are managed through our project management and pipeline management software. So each artist can log into that and see what work is assigned to them, and there wouldn't be a cluster of files where they would have to sort everything through. So what this does is it removes a lot of manual work to aggregate files. As we know, in production, this can be humongous. So once there is any sort of change in this file, or there is a comment or any sort of change, a notification is sent to their preferred communication channel. We use Slack in this case, and it's handled by bots. And this notification will have its own comment section with the list of changes that's done in the file. So what happens here is when an artist logs out from their work system, they will still have access to what is happening to their files. And if it's a non-technical person who doesn't have to go through the software or maybe through the server, they can just log into their communication channel and see what has happened. Although each department would have its own work style, they would be using different softwares. And most of the digital assets end up being used in a real-time engine in our workflow, which is, in our case, Unreal Engine. So what we are trying to achieve here is that every artist or developer can work within their software choice and upload files into a pipeline directly from within it. Since it's all connected to a central source, these files can be accessed anywhere, regardless of location. So for example, let's take a look at the case of an artist who's working in Maya for a character model. So what a pipeline does efficiently is that the artist doesn't need to have Unreal Engine installed in their system. They can work from Maya, and once their change is done, they can upload the file directly from within the system, and this file is reflected instantly to the artists who are working in Unreal Engine. So they can be comfortable within their own space without having to think about any other factor. If there are some name conventions that need to be followed, our scripts does that automatically, and that is how it's aggregated in this pipeline. And like I mentioned before, if there are any changes within the respective files, it gets transported directly into the communication channel, and they can view the project management software to see in depth what work needs to be done. So this is all managed through a central source control, and this source control handles all our project files. This makes remote collaboration extremely seamless, even to a non-technical person. So I'm not a technical person. Even if I wanted to use Unreal Engine, I could literally access the source seamlessly and see which file is where and make comments on that with the client directly. And this source is backed up every day, and we have multiple backups of it, and we manage it simultaneously. So this is how we achieve our virtual production pipeline solutions. They are real-time synchronization. We have managed to make effective communication to and fro with the client. There is an organized data transfer system where artists don't have to do manual work aggregating and sorting out files. And with our source in place, there is an effective mode for multiple users to collaborate and work on a scene. So now that I covered in brief about how our solutions integrate with each other, I want to walk you through how we were able to use these methods to speed up our production process with a bit of use cases. So with virtual production, even though each workflow is its own set, the efficiency of the pipeline is translated when we are able to combine and streamline the entire process till the final stages of production without having to rely on an external workflow. So let's start with how we use this pipeline for pre-visualization. So in recent years, filmmakers have started making pre-visualizations before shooting their films because it's such a great and convenient way to see your shots before actually going and shooting them. So this is a pre-visualization that we did for Garena Free Fire. It's a very hit battle royale game. This was the pre-visualization that we did for their Diwali ad. We handled the rendering of this video in Unreal Engine, and we used previs extensively to make sure lighting modes matched with the animatics and camera blockouts with the storyboards. So what I'm highlighting here is that the use case of using real-time technologies, it's just not for rendering, but since this is a game engine, its inbuilt features like physics and such makes it easier for creatives to extensively visualize how materials react in real world for their shots. So this is an extremely cost-effective method to determine if the shots and the movements are aligned to the director's vision. So what I'm saying is you don't have to worry about how the grass is going to move. It will move because it's a real-time engine, or you don't have to worry about, in this case, how bullets are going to pass through a wall, because everything happens in real time with real-world accuracy to how an event can be achieved with minimal effort. If I need to walk through a field of grass, I don't need to animate the grass separately. I can specify that area of grass to react to physics, and any movement that happens across it translates like how it be in real world. And you can see in this video, we were able to use these real-time changes within the engine, such as adjusting the light in this case, placing the animations properly so that it translated to every movement in the scene. So it's these features that make real-time engines such a suitable candidate to pre-visualize sequences that would be hard to figure out. Having this idea of how your shots come out becomes crucial here, as we know a single reshoot can be catastrophic. So real-time engines are also capable enough to handle even minute aspects of editing. This video that we're capturing now, it's completely edited within Unreal Engine, and we even color grade it and add all sorts of post-process, which is usually done in a separate video editing software. And when we are ready to upload this, it is done within the engine itself, and it goes directly to any platform of choice or any server that we want. So this covers one aspect of how we were able to use the advantages of game engines into production to create sequences that can be used at the final quality. So let's have a look at how this video came out finally. So this is the final ad that aired during Diwali last year. Every single aspect of pre-visualization that we used was covered here. The client was very specific that certain camera movements had to match with how they wanted. So Unreal Engine and pre-visualization really helped us in that aspect. Okay, the next aspect we have to talk about over here is real-time animation. And let me show you how this workflow looks like. So over here, we have a live actor equipped with an advanced mocap suit, and he has a head mount with an iPhone device on it. Now this head mount captures his face, the body suit captures his body, and the finger sensors capture the movements of his finger. So all his movements are captured and transferred as animations into a mocap system, and this is then transferred onto a 3D model in real time. So as the actor moves, the animation is reflected onto the model with near accuracy instantly. So the plus point here is that while these animations are being transferred onto the model, it's also being cleaned up. Now, this happens within our mocap system itself, and it gets simultaneously transferred into Unreal Engine or any game engine of our choice in real time. The model that you see is something that we use for previs on a base level to see how the animation would look like. And since this is real time, any form of reshoots would be instant. Our data transfer systems and source pipeline, we were able to aggregate all this data simultaneously, and this shoot can actually happen somewhere else. That means the actor can be physically present at another location, and all that needs to be happened here is that the mocap data needs to be transferred in real time. Now, for shooting a sequence, this isn't enough. For this, we have to utilize features such as virtual camera and multi-user collaboration. Now, what's best about both these features are that they can be used in tandem, irrespective of where the developers or actors are. Now, let me begin with virtual camera. This is a tool we use with which we frame or shoot shots using real-world physical devices to control the camera inside the virtual environment. So you can see in my case, the physical device is an iPad, and we track the physical camera's location using trackers, and the physical space in which me and the actor are walking around, it's actually measured to map the space inside the engine. This means wherever I place the camera, wherever I am in the physical world, I can get its accurate position within the engine. This can be a very useful tool for cameramen or DOPs because the view inside the iPad is the same as the one in the engine. Now, since this is all in real time, I can even go ahead and change the lights, and this change is reflected instantly both on the video and inside the engine. This is how two users are able to work on the same scene in real time. Here, multi-user collaboration plays a key role by working across borders virtually, irrespective of location, and making decisive changes without having to worry about scalability. With multi-user collaboration, two or more users can work on a scene together simultaneously. This actually opens up a lot of possibility for fast and quick creative iterations. So this is the result of the shot that we went. The animations were transferred from the mocap system directly in real time, and this shoot took about 10-15 minutes, and all the cuts that you see here were done using a virtual camera. Now, the next mode of pre-visualization that I want to walk you through is VR scouting. So VR scouting is basically, it's an immersive mode for filmmakers to step into a virtual environment using virtual reality and capture sequences as they would in a production environment. The only difference here is that you are stepping into a virtual scene. So you can see the environment over there that I'm exploring. It is extremely vast, and navigation is almost seamless. I can actually walk through the space, which I'm doing, or I can control it using my controller. Now, the beauty of this is that using VR, I'm able to manipulate objects in the scene and its changes get reflected. Again, I'm highlighting in real time because I don't have to worry about how the light is going to flow. Now, the next tool I want to highlight here is the measure tool that we use in VR scouting. This is the tool that we first initially used to map a virtual space. So I'm using a measure tool over here to physically match the distance between myself and the objects inside the virtual environment. So this way I can place real world objects in the physical space as markers, and I can plan my camera angles and I can plan my shots accordingly. Now, this tool that I'm using is called a viewfinder. Now, we use a viewfinder to capture how a scene would look like as a screenshot with its lighting, with its mood, to see how it's framed. Now, it's a very nifty tool. What I've done here right now is I've placed a snapshot of it inside the virtual environment itself, and I'm physically moving to and fro across to make sure that the view that I'm seeing actually matches the screenshot that is placed in front of me. Now, since this environment is huge, I can always go back, I can always come back, and whenever I do this transition, I can use the snapshot as a reference, and I can be sure that this is how my scene is going to look. So now that I have a scene logged, the next step for me is to place a camera there and record the sequence. Now, I have to mention that every tool that we use inside the space can be customized to reflect real-world devices. So if I had a specific camera or if I had a specific form of light, I can program it and I can bring it inside the engine, and its properties would be reflected while I'm doing my virtual scouting. So this is how the scene looks like after I've shot my camera sequence. Right now, the camera is being moved using virtual reality, and I can see in real time how the shots are going to look like, and I'm just figuring out in this process at which frame of the animation I need to place the camera. So you can see it's a very effective tool to actually step inside the world that you're creating and wanting to have an atmosphere and the mood of the sequence that you will eventually end up creating. Next. So this is the final out of the sequence we shot using VR scouting. As you can see, VR scouting, it's not just a tool to shoot sequences, but the ability to step into the virtual environment and see how light reflects, how objects are placed, and how the camera movements are framed is a vital tool that is being used these days to speed up the creative process. To sum it up, VR scouting is a tool set with which we can make better creative decisions before heading into production. So these are some of the other use cases that we use virtual production for. So the first one is real-time compositing. Here, a live actor acts out in front of a green screen, and this is captured on camera live in real time, and the green screen is replaced by any custom background in real time. This is an effective tool for VFX supervisors, as they provide a very quick turnaround without having to wait to send this footage somewhere or to see it in post, and to make sure the shots and the VFX align with what was initially planned. The next one is LED walls. These are large-scale displays connected to real-time solutions that are capable to render scenes at the utmost visual quality. Even though they act as a replacement for green screens, they're capable to display high-quality VFX, and its most important advantage is the fact that it's able to cast light directly from the screen so that accurate reflections are presented on the actor. You can see that from these examples over here. So these are some of the works that we've done using real-time solutions. So we have been using Unreal Engine extensively for a very long time to help digital content creators adopt this workflow. Each of these videos that you see, we have done it using various virtual production techniques. So this is all what I'm trying to sum it up over here, is that virtual production is a pipeline with which you're combining all these processes together so that every person on the department is sure about their task and they just have to focus on that one aspect. And in the end, it all combines to form an out that can be uploaded at your own freedom, creatively, from any space. So these are the tools that we use. We use Unreal extensively, and for some client-specific works, we use Unity. We use the rest: Houdini, ZBrush, Motion Builder, Max, Maya, Marmoset to make our digital content. Thank you. Yes.
So any questions can be commented on the YouTube channel that can be answered by Nikhil Chandran. So feel free to comment your questions.
Yes.
So one question that I have is like you mentioned about the live actions and tracking, right? And the actor can be from remote, right? Just like work from home, they can perform remotely.
That's actually how we shot the sequence itself.
Okay.
Yeah.
So on, other than the camera, you just showed like there is one camera that was connected. Other than that, what are the devices that is required for that? What are the setup that is required for them to act remotely?
I didn't get that question. Are you asking what all equipments you need?
Yeah. What are the equipments that need to enable that remote working or remote shooting? For example, at the actor side, could you please go back to that slide where you were showing the live action tracking?
1 minute, Deepu.
Yeah.
This one, right?
Next
This
one.
one,
Next
right?
one. This one.
This one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in order to transmit this kind of data, we have to ship this motion capture, motion capture shoot to the actor side, and also we have a link where we can transmit this directly to him, which we can handle the latencies, where we have internal protocols to handle these latencies. But still, there is a cleanup in our end that we will do it in our post-processing engine, where then we will shift to the real characters. So here, everything is happening internally, so it's lively fed to the Unreal Engine. But if it in the remote cases, there will be one more layer will come up where a cleanup engine process.
Okay, and also other than the latency, like the huge data need to be handled here, right? So how do you solve that problem? Like,
see, data. We have a data pipeline engineer here called Ashutosh. He's very good in writing advanced protocol exclusively for that by chopping out unnecessary things which we don't want in normal file transfer system. So that's how we managed it. It's an internal program which we wrote ourselves to manage these kind of heavy workflows.
okay.
So a lot of things have to be written from the scratch in order to take care of things which we required in our way, because normal traditional pipelines, when we use normal tools available in the market, it could be open source, it could be paid, but everywhere we end up with some kind of hiccups. So we don't want all the features which include in that. So what we went back and write it, because myself coming from a protocol background, so me and Ashutosh collaborated and write the protocol to only specific things which we required, which help us to computation power can be adjusted in such a way that heavy load can be adjusted.
Okay. And there is one question from Pradab Segal. Please describe a small virtual production set, look and feel little more elaborately, and how much does it cost to build? Green screen or LED?
See, it depends upon the volume you want to set up. Let's say how the tracking kind of thing you want to set up. Like you want advanced tracking like optic cameras, and you want different set of human tracking like people tracking like Spyrex camera and all. Depends upon the way you want it. It will cost will vary. And if suppose a green screen, you need a very good camera as well as a people tracking system, including camera tracking and also person tracking. So in our system, we use multiple things. We use optic cameras, red spice, and we also for pre-visualization we use normal stuff like wave trackers and all. But for high-end production, we'll always go for red spike cameras, optic cameras. And in terms of LED walls, it depends upon the content you want to produce. Let's say you can have 1,000 square feet of LED to set up a small ad shoot. but you need more than that to shoot something like Mandalorian with the Star Wars. So that will cost $1 million kind of thing. So there are studios who spend millions kinds of dollars to set up these kind of studios. Same way, in our studios, we have different technologies, and we wanted to make sure that a lot of spending in the already proprietary thing, like what that can be spent, which large dollars, we try to avoid that, and we try to create our own custom solution, which help us to scale up, because investing on this kind of technology, it's always evolving. So there is no fixed set of tools that is we can buy and keep and use it later, but always it evolving. So we need to keep on upgrading. Example, we have vibe trackers almost 10 2.0, but 4 weeks back, vibe tracker with advanced thing like vibe tracker 3.0 coming up. So we have to invest that on to improve our tracking. Same way in terms of camera. So depends upon the volume, square feet you want to design. It will change approximately.
What is the minimum square feet requirement for setting up a production set? So actually, the question is like a small virtual production set. Is it 2,000 square feet or 5,000 or 1,000 square feet? What would be the minimum requirement to set up a small virtual production set?
Yeah, it's all again a project specific. How much volume you want to map and shoot. Like here we have almost 750 square feet here, and we have a 1,500 square feet below. So we use both for different purposes. So if you want to shoot lot of very large movie, you need large square feet, kind of like about 5,000 to 7,000 square feet of set to accommodate more actors. Quadruples like animals. If you want to bring them into the production sets, that kind of stuff. It depends upon we can't tell how much it will cost exactly.
Okay, so minimum like 750 is also okay, but for the maximum or for a better movie, like 4,000, 5,000 square feet space is enough. Actually, 5,000 square feet is enough for setting up everything for the bigger movie, right?
Exactly.
And okay, and another question. It is from Milton. Myself, Milton, DP from Asianet News Digital. Can you tell more about VR? How is it worth for live news studios like us?
Yeah, hi Milton. Milton is one of my friends. Thanks for watching this. And Milton, definitely the VR is, now the VR is using in the live, productions houses for, tracking and all kind of stuff. We can't call it as VR. We can call it XR because a lot of tracking systems are using that. Like, there are Wizard engine and Red Spy camera used for having a advanced new generation media production kit, right? So it's all larger topic to explain. But VR it's not only VR. It's a combination of XR is going to change the media, and the XR should adopt by the media industry. That's what I should say.
Okay, and another question. It is from Prajan Chandel itself. And if you could benchmark current Indian studios, like the one you showed, against something like Beta Digital, what do you think?
We were no near to that. Actually, it's not right to benchmark any of the studios. Everybody is doing their best. Even we are a small studio. We started this R&D 2 years back, and we reach across this because we have a background of XR, XR background from last 6 years. Because all of the technologies showing here is adaptation of the XR element, like AR, VR, and MR. That's why we should scale up last 2 years. So every studio have their own technologies, their own way of doing things. We are not good to we are not that great to bet anybody now.
So using these technologies, like, is there any movies that you could mention, like used Unreal Engine for production right now? Movies or any series?
Yeah, currently we're working with Lal Sa's Baru's movie for pre-visualization, and we are also talking with I don't know whether I can say it now. I am talking with a couple of directors here, but to do some kind of song sequences, chase sequences, and in Unreal Engine. And in COVID situation, everybody moved to productions are hold, right? So everybody want to get a pie on this kind of technology, and they can keep going their production by adopting these kind of. So directors are thinking about adopting Unreal Engine to bring an XR kind of song creation and an advanced chase sequence, chasing, and also remote stunt director choreography and all. So I can't tell the name now because I don't know, but yeah.
That's okay, and it is good to know that more opportunities are coming on the way, because it is something that is newly introduced from Kerala, right? Horrors, when it comes out, it might be the first movie that is using virtual production. Is it? Can I mention it that way?
Come again. Yeah, maybe the first movie would be Barrows, I guess, like using virtual production techniques. Not fully. They are they are adopting it. They are adopting in large scale. So that's what we can tell now. We are not allowed to reveal much more information. So.
Yeah, that's fine. And then actually there are two things. One is reducing the cost of production,
Yes.
right? And what are the other advantages for switching to virtual production? For example, it is going to disrupt the complete pipeline of movie industry. Like people or the production controllers or those people are used with the existing pipeline, right? And there is a lot of learning, or there is a learning curve for any director, even for the director to start working on this type of pipelines. So, what are your comments on that?
Exactly, there are a lot of learning curve on this pipeline. Here, adopting this pipeline is like our industry's pre-visualization or pre-planning is the main thing when we adopt this pipeline. We thought that if we go for shooting, nothing is going to happen. So, example, if we want to do a song sequence, we should pre-visualize in such a way that how should shoot and what should shoot. Everything should be pre-visualized. If you do that, that will be easy when we go to the set. Example, to run these kind of song sequence or chase sequences, the industry is spending a lot of amount of money, right? If they could pre-visualize entire set, example, they want to do a chase sequences in Kochi, and they have all the measurements of the lands and all, and we can take data from Google and we can map the terrain in Unreal Engine. We can make the actor and the villain run around, or we can check this chase sequence in such a way that how the stunt director would want it. Maybe do this COVID situation, nobody can fly from abroad, right? Nowadays, our industry is using a lot of LA-based or Thailand-based stunt directors, so they can't fly, and they can collaborate using it like this. And in Unreal Engine, they can design entire flow in a 3D space. And after that, a assistant director or a minimum person with a good quality of camera angles can get it done. And the stunt director can after that watch it. Once he frees the scenes, they have to shoot it like that. That way we can bring into the table. And if some motions need to be taken care, or some movement need to be shown by the stunt director, they can show remotely, and somebody can visualize here and put it in the Unreal Engine, and they get it done. So these are the way industry should, I think, going to adapt. And one more question I want to answer is like how the directors react on this. I think from if I have shared the links to the people I'm working now, and if they're seeing it like from I'm getting very good response from the directors. They are really wanted to do this, and they're ready to learn. And they are ready to unlearn the old way, and they want to ready to adapt the new way. So that's the spirit I'm feeling. So today evening also I got a call from a director, and he exchanged. He wanted to do a song sequence in Unreal Engine. So and he is very well-known director, and he himself wanted to learn this, and he asked me the link of this, and he wanted to learn how these things are working. So everybody wanted to get a pie on these new techniques, and everybody were adopting this in very large scale. But support from government and the association, and there should be a collaborative effort to adopt, because the current problem which we are facing is lack of skills, lack of people who wanted to come to this area. Everybody going to the old traditional way, but nobody wanted to come to this new methods of filmmaking. So adoption rate need to be improved only when the young talented they wanted to adopt this kind of technology, and the other guys who already in this market are willing to adopt this technology. But if you want to scale up, everybody who willing to learn filmmaking or wanted to do new technology or wanted to do a DOP should learn these tools as well, and how that can be incorporated in their pipeline.
Okay. There is one more question. It is regarding how is the iPad being tracked in a virtual space?
So
as Joel said, you want to answer that question?
Yeah, we do have trackers in place. It's actually behind the mount. We have a tracker that's in place, and we have a volume setup over here, and that is how it's been tracked.
If you want, I can show the studio on the glance.
Yeah, that would be great.
So Ender Studio is mapped with trackers. Trackers in the sense, to track iPad in the volume. So you can see there are small camera-like setup. See this one, which help us to track iPad and all that kind of systems.
Okay. And what are the drawbacks of using this? Like, for example, if somebody want to do a short film, okay, so it is a big movie. It might be a 10-minute short film or 20-minute short film. Is it something that they can afford to? Because there are two things. One is getting access to the technology, and then how much you charge, or like how much they have to pay for. And reduction in the cost, if it is for a bigger movie and all, that would be fine. But if it's for a small short film, there might not be much cost reduction in the production, right?
So what I would add here is that it all depends ultimately on what you want to make. And like Nikhil had mentioned, pre-production is very important. Pre-visualization is very important. Now, since you're talking about accessibility, one thing I have to highlight is Unreal Engine is right now the most accessible software on the market. Like Epic, the company behind Unreal Engine, they actively promote community collaboration. They actively even invest in students wanting to learn. So the technology is out there, the resources are out there. Anyone can learn. I've seen people who've crossed 60 years old. They would just take their iPhone out and they would just shoot something random, and they can bring it into Unreal, and with the online tutorials that are in place, they can make something of their own. Now, it is extremely affordable for people to actually use technologies like this right now. If you don't have to consider about the devices that we have in place. Like I mentioned in my presentation, virtual production isn't the devices, it's the entire pipeline that makes the process so easy, very easy. You don't have to pay a monthly subscription, you don't have to pay like a royalty, you don't have to do anything sort of that. You have assets available online everywhere, free. Epic even spends approximately they spend like $12-15 million to give assets out free to the community. So it's out there. The resources are out there. The technology is out there. It all depends on what you want to make.
So isn't it required for them to have someone with technical expertise, like that, so a consultant for them to start using, or anybody can go there and start using?
See, Deepu, I am the worst technical person on the planet, and even I was able to control the iPad and shoot the sequence. So that is why I'm telling you with confidence, it's easy. It's I won't say it's easy, but it's possible. It's very possible.
Also, Deepu, we are also trying to make it affordable in such a way that we would like to collaborate with the creators who have creative mentality to adopt this technology. And we want to make sure the community adopt this by making it affordable. And for making it affordable, I told you the talent should be available. If there is shortage in talent, the talent will ask more salaries and payments. And also, it's not about the sensors and all, because we want to go to a production quality. So that's why we invest a lot of sensors and technology and all. But individual content creators can self-learn and do it. But if they want to collaborate with us, we are happy to do that. and we are always open, and we are making it affordable.
Yeah, and also it is really important to have a community for Unreal Engine. Do we actually have something here where the industry people can join?
Yeah, we do have. We are running a Unreal Trivandrum community, but we wanted to expand that to across Kerala, maybe across India. But lot community development is, I think, Unreal is now taking care of that. So you are good in that, and we would like to collaborate to expand that community and their new learn as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, sure. Because after FAYA portrait, most of the times, like whenever we are introducing new technologies, there will be a lot of people coming towards and then form a meetup group, and then people start joining that meetup, and then they start conducting constant sessions of peer learning for peer learning groups, adapting the changes in that, and also find the peers who are currently working on it, so that they can confidently start using it, because there is someone that I can connect to if I get stuck at some point. So we can think about that, and after this, I can share. I can create a meetup link and share it to everyone, and slowly we can build that community here.
Yeah.
And
So we would actively wanted to participate on community development, and we would like to contribute the content to the community. Whatever we know, we would like to share with the community, and we are approachable. Just call away. You can join the group, or you can anybody wanted to learn this. They are allowed to work with us remotely in this COVID situation. They can join as an intern, and if you want to learn our any advice required, we can do that.
oh, that's great. So anybody who wants to check with or test with this technology, there is an opportunity that you can join and as an intern and work with Nikhil and Artin Labs. So that is a great opportunity.
Yes.
And if you are working on a large scale budget, free version of Unreal Engine is enough, or licensing is required. That is from Kiran. Yeah.
I believe the terms have changed a bit recently, but it's still a bit of a gray area. I don't, unless you're selling something commercial, Epic doesn't ask for royalties. So if you're using it for something like revisualization, or you're helping, if you're doing a service using it, no, it wouldn't be. But if you
The game.
yeah, if you're
It
making
mostly
a, if you're
applicable
making
to
a
game.
if you're making a game and selling it on the marketplace, yes, Epic will charge. But that's the good thing about Epic right now. They've waived off the royalties until you earn $1 million. So only after $1 million you have to pay royalties, and that's just, I think, 5% or something. But even then, as a service, you don't have to. Even if it's for the large scale studio, unless you are commercially gaining from it, is my
So commercial gaming means if it is a game development, that is fine. But if it is for a movie, like a feature film, like a large scale budget movie, like there is a commercial gain there, right?
No, it's what I meant is, I'm not profiting from the movie sales, am I? I'm just offering a service. For that, it's considered okay. But
Okay.
if I were to use Unreal to make a movie, yeah, I'm pretty sure I would have to pay some sort of royalty.
Okay. And like we talked about the positives of this thing, and what are the things that we need to take care of, or like aware of, that is the negative side of Unreal Engine, or switching to a virtual production.
Okay, that's a very tricky question. I wouldn't say that there is definitely a learning curve, because anyone who opens Unreal is definitely going to be afraid. But once you're past the learning curve, I don't see drawbacks as such. But I do want to stress one point: just because the process is seamless and easy, it doesn't mean that the workflow or the whole idea behind it is just take a camera and go along with it. There are still principles that you need to be solid on to actually, it's a creative process. The first and foremost is not to forget that.
Yeah.
The technology is just second. So there isn't a drawback as such. There is just a learning curve, is what I would say.
So in a technical perspective, there are a lot of interconnections. There are a lot of there is iPads, there is sensors, there is cameras, there is connectors, there is graphical GPUs. Someday something will stop working. We have to go back that,
Yes.
and we have to make sure, and multiple softwares and interconnection of that kind of thing is very headache process. and exchanging information with these kind of different softwares also a very big headache process. So if you ask, negative side means working with lot of sensors, equipments, cameras, along with people, and for a fast environment, that is the big challenge here.
So,
Anything can be lost.
okay. So, are you planning for setting up a virtual production studio and provide it as a service um, for the future movie aspirants? Like,
Yes, we are. We have completed our R&D to set up a virtual production volume inside of a current studio, and we have two setups here, 750 and 1,000 square feet. Now we are expanding 7,000 to 10,000 square feet. We are trying to set up in Trivandrum. That's what our dream, and it will be materialized within 6 months. That's our targeted timeline. Hopefully, we could produce large high volume films from here soon.
okay. Okay, and there is one message from Pravi. Unveil production is free regardless of film budget. Okay, and we had a virtual production at the film festival with Epic employees. Okay, good. Thank you. And any other thing that you want to share?
No, we are pretty good. Thank you for the opportunity, Deepu, and thank you for listening.
Okay, and it is something that is unprecedented in our country or in the state, and but in this pandemic situation, like always, this is an industry that is getting like affected. Like the shootings are getting cancelled, lot of problems and challenges are happening around, and I hope like this is something that everyone have to think of. Like whoever is into the film or movie industry, that they should actually realize that like these type of opportunities also exist, and get a hands-on on this technology, and surely we need a strong community to back it up, because that knowledge sharing and adapting the changes is always high risk. Like we always see something as very complex when it is unfamiliar. Like something that is they are not familiar, they think it as complex. So as per what I understand from Nikhil, like it is not that complex. We are not familiar with that technology right now, and everyone, I request you to go and just try it, become familiar with that, and like I hope like there will be a lot of people will be coming forward to form a community, and then we can take it forward from there with small sessions on specific topics. For example, if it is regarding the live action, we can have a separate session, small session on that, or like how to set up the LED walls, and questions regarding that can be taken separately. Small sessions regarding the Unreal Engine that community can take care of, so that more people will join, and also that will also be a support for more people who try to adapt these type of technology.
Absolutely right.
Thank you, and thank you for watching, and I hope like everyone enjoyed the session. And if you have any questions, I will also be sharing the details of the speakers, and you can always keep in touch with them. And we'll also give you a feedback form, which you can give your feedback, and any future topics that you are interested to hear from FAYA, we can surely bring it for you. So please do respond to that feedback email which we shared. And as if any of you are new and are still seeing FAYA is just like it was started in 2013. This is the 89th edition. We intend to bring like-minded people together to create peer learning so that they can follow a community of practice, like something that happens in a specific technology. Like the people with the similar interests can come together, form a community, and continuously and continue to learn. Okay. So here for Unreal Engine or virtual production, we can surely have a smaller community, which I hope like we can take it forward, and surely FAYA will also be supporting. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Deepu.
Yeah, thank you all. Stay safe.
Bye.
Yeah,
Stay
bye.
safe.
Bye.
Bye bye.